All right, guys. So Judge Joe Brown, who's probably one of my favorite TV judges from back in the day, along with Judge Judy. Okay, he did an interview with Kwame Brown that was really fascinating. Okay, if you haven't seen it, highly encourage you to check it out. It's very informative stuff, right? And I've heard Judge Joe Brown talk about these issues before in the past. So some of the things he said were not really that surprising to me. But, he really laid in on CNN, okay, and the racist history of Joe Biden.
The surrogates, like the Black Caucus. And I look at the people like Al Sharpton, Cory Booker, Don Lemon, and crying Van Jones, I call CNN Crying Negro Network, and idiots like that.
What you say is the Crying Negro Network?
Yeah.
Jesus Christ.
See from Van Jones, and he cries a few tears in it to add a little unique character to the tea. So, they push this stuff too. See that narrative they do. They just have this thing on Trump. Now, I don't particularly like Trump, but I'm not against him. I did not vote for that damn fool that they had running against him, that racist, what I heard the first time in 1972 when I was doing an intern thing at a DC think tank, when he was out there with James O. Eastland, John B. Stennis, Faubus came in from Arkansas. That's the fool who said they'd never integrate the Little Rock High School. They had Wallace there, who was wheeled in, and they had Byrd, former Grand Dragon of the Klan, and they were talking about this young man who had a stupid-looking ducktail like he was back in the 1950s, was the last true yellow dog Dixiecrat. And they were talking about Joe Biden, who got up there, and when the speech he gave, I was really offended. I heard it right outside the state capitol building in Dover, which was a rundown, ransackled old house, 250 years old. Now, we talk about the 94 crime bill. That wasn't shit. The 91 was bad. The
91
87 was really bad. The 81 was the one where one rock got you 5 years, which due to some other stuff Biden and Stennis and Eastland did. It wasn't 5 years with parole. They abolished federal parole. So you get 5 years, you get 60 months, and you get released with all good and honor time at 56 months from federal custody. And then that was the 81 one, then there was a 79 and the 77. So let's give blame where blame is due. That has been a racist, and he used to talk about he understood the Negro because he was raised in Delaware. And he said Delaware was a proud slave-owning state that basically copped out by not going with the South during the rebellion as it should have, because they were too close to D.C. to not be intimidated. So I listened to this racist. I kept up with him because I was practicing criminal law, and federal criminal trials became almost a lynch thing because of what is allowed.
All right, guys. So you see that? You heard that? Bruh, listen, all these woke revolutionaries want to have a conversation about race, right? Y'all want to have a conversation about the Republican Party being racist? Why are we not having a conversation about the racist history of Joe Biden? That's the real question. Like, have you noticed how all they want to talk about is race, but the person that actually has a documented racist past, been associated with people that were in the KKK, okay, Dixiecrats from back in the day, we know his associations. Nobody ever questions this man's racism. But all these people want to talk about is race. All they want to talk about is systemic racism this, systemic racism that. And I'm like, bro, look at your president. Look at your president, bruh. Look at your president. Okay? He's the one that was the architect of all these things you're complaining about, right? Everything that you're complaining about, your president did that, okay? When it came to locking up black folks for petty crimes, okay, when it came to mass incarceration, when it came to all that stuff, Biden was the architect behind that stuff. Okay, blame him. Blame him. Okay, stop trying to shift the blame from what he did, the system that he set up, and put it on other people. Trump ain't had nothing to do with that. Trump had nothing to do with that. But if you listen to the mainstream media, they make it seem like, oh, Trump is the worst thing for race, right? He's the biggest racist in the country. Bruh, what about that man sitting in the White House? Okay, so if Trump is racist, you replace one racist who has basically done nothing with a bigger racist who've actually instituted these laws and this systemic racism that you guys love to complain about so much. Come on now. Okay, because Kamala tried to have a conversation.
It's personal, and I was actually it was hurtful to hear you talk about the reputations of two United States senators who built their reputations and career on the segregation of race in this country. And it was not only that, but you also worked with them to oppose busing.
Look, everything I've done in my career, I ran because of civil rights. I continue to think we have to make fundamental changes in civil rights. And those civil rights, by the way, include not just only African Americans, but the LGBT community.
But Vice President Biden, do you agree today that you were wrong to oppose busing in America then?
No.
Do you agree?
I did not oppose busing in America. What I opposed is busing ordered by the Department of Education. That's what I opposed.
Well, there was a failure of states to integrate public schools in America. I was part of the second class to integrate Berkeley, California public schools almost 2 decades after Brown v. Board of Education.
Because your city council made that decision. It was a local decision. So that's where the federal government must step in. That's why we have the Voting Rights Act and the Civil Rights Act. That's why we need to pass the Equality Act. That's why we need to pass the ERA, because there are moments in history where states fail to preserve the civil rights of all.
We all remember that. The vice president, even the vice president, basically, low-key, accused Biden of having a racist past or may have been a racist in the past. And Judge Joe Brown saying the same exact thing. These people are old enough to know. They're involved enough to know. And matter of fact, Jill Biden was so upset by Kamala exposing her husband that she told Kamala after the debate to go F herself. That wasn't covered by the media, right? The media didn't want to pick that up. But in the case of Kamala, she was personally affected. Judge Joe Brown, being in the legal system, he knows, he understands his stuff. So again, people like Joy Reid, like Don Lemon, those race crusaders and race baiters, Mark Lamont Hill, why do y'all never want to sit down and have a conversation about Biden? Okay? Because he's not doing anything for black people. Okay? He's really not. And he's using black people to get votes. I mean, again, we should have had this conversation when he told Charlamagne God, if you don't vote for me, you ain't black. And that when he also said that black people are a monolith. Okay, they're all the same. Right? I don't have, basically saying, look, I don't have to work for their vote. Okay? He's told you that so many times. Right? So many times. He tried to imply black folks don't know how to use computers. Okay? We don't know how to do anything. These are the things that this man is saying at his elderly age. And as he get older, guys, if you haven't noticed about Biden and some of the things that he say, he really can't control himself.
I'm especially honored to share the stage with Brittany and Jordan and Nathan and Margaret Catherine. I love those barrettes in her hair, man. I tell you what, look at her. She looks like she's 19 years old, sitting there with her, like a little lady with her legs crossed.
So when he says these things, these are things that he really thinks, in my opinion. In my opinion, that's just my humble opinion. Some of the things that Biden is saying recently, right? He's just saying it because he's thinking it. He can't really control himself. But yet people are not questioning it. Okay, despite the past. We don't talk about this enough. Everybody, the whole media wants to give praise to Biden and, oh, he's such a unifier and trying to fight for all races and trying to fight against the racist Republicans and blah, 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 blah. this is why I can't take the mainstream media serious. Because the guy with the actual past, the guy with the actual history, they say nothing about, they're silent on. It's one thing if they was talking about both. I would say, you know what? Cool, at least the media is talking about both, right? At least they're calling out both ways. They're not trying to call out both ways. They're not. Because the Democrats will give lip service to it. But that's dangerous. Somebody that will give you lip service and then turn around and stab you in the back, it's a lot more dangerous than somebody that will stab you in the back and don't give you lip service, tell you, hey, I'm stabbing you in the back, or somebody that won't give you lip service and won't do anything at all. This is what I'm saying. That story from Judge Joe Brown, not surprised to hear it. Not surprised to hear that he feels that way. I'm pretty sure a lot of people that's in the know about Joe Biden from back in the day know that. I'm pretty sure even Obama knows that. Okay? Even Obama knows that. But, you know, it's crazy to see how these people know that Biden's past, but yet they continue to defend him as if he's some type of race crusader, right? As he's some type of real unifier. When, like I said, in my mind, based off his most recent comments and the things that he says, I have little doubt that, you know, maybe he still holds some of those sentiments. Because, you know, people really, it's really hard to change over time. Okay? Anyways, let me know what you guys think. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe. Most importantly, share a Black conservative perspective. Peace.